Like
Meet me down by the waterfront after the social.
Everybody's got that accent, man. I'm telling you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Midnight Monster Corner podcast. I'm your host, as always, Corey, and alongside me is your pal and our friend, Frosty.
What is up?
What's going on, Frosty?
What's up, man?
And then we also got Tony Arroyo in the house again. What's going on, Tony?
What's going on?
You guys ready to do this?
Yeah, brother.
As always. Yeah,
Awesome.
I really looked forward to this all day, man. I was kind of nervous that I wasn't going to make it on time. That's why I texted you. I was like, I'll be there at 9:15 because I got home and I was like meal prepping for the weekend and cooking dinner for us. And I was looking at the time. I was like, oh man, I gotta go prep for the show.
Well, we're glad you're here.
Yeah, dude.
Absolutely.
This review is going to be a very fun one, I feel. I think you've only seen the first two, Frosty, so I think we're going to try and break it up. And we're going to do the first two of the series, the first two films of the series in this episode, and then the third, and then basically the fourth starter on the next episode.
That's a quick watch. That's a quick watch, man. I think that that film only runs like a couple minutes.
Wow.
It's just like some production footage and stuff like that they B-rolled or whatever, and it's pretty funny.
I figure we could probably definitely discuss that and talk about it. I personally haven't seen it before, so it'll be a first watch for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Same here, brother. I've only seen the first three. And then, of course, that abysmal Return to Sleepaway Camp. Oh, my God. Jeez, man. You want to talk about, oh, man, that's a bad one. But
well, now I have to watch it.
Oh, it's bad. It's bad. And the guy in the lead, his performance is just, it's one of those grating where you just like, I can't stand this dude. The way he's acting, he's whining, he's complaining, he's just, oh man, it wears on you. Yeah. I mean, honestly, there's a lot of cool callbacks to the original Sleepaway Camp with a lot of the returning actors coming and playing a role and stuff like that. But it's just a bad movie, man. I mean, I haven't seen it since it came out, so it's been a while, but I just remember having an abysmal time watching that.
Yeah, me and Corey talked about this a lot, how horror is one of those genres that's so fun because you can watch a bad horror movie and still have a lot of fun with it and still like highly recommend it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like you'll go on a Metacritic or IMDb or something and like the like review scores might be low, but the viewers, I don't know what they call it. I guess viewer scores. I keep wanting to call it user scores because of video games. But the fan scores, I guess, are like way higher because it's like, yeah, even though the movie might be corny and it's full of cheese and all this stuff, like it's still a really fun movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but like that'd be a fun conversation to have. Maybe we could do an episode on like where do you draw the line? Like what's bad? What's a movie that's so bad that like you got to just stop and go, okay, this is shit.
Just can't even finish it.
Yeah. Oh man.
Absolutely.
Birdemic.
That would be dude, Birdemic's awful. Oh, it's awful. But yeah, I agree with you, Frosty, man. That'd be a good topic for a show, man. That would be really cool to dive into that. No doubt.
Yeah. So what have you guys watched over the week, or have you guys watched anything?
Well, for me, man, I've only, and the funny thing is, I kind of watched them out of sequence because prepping for the show, the only things I've watched this week so far were Sleepaway Camp 1 and 2, but I watched the second one first and then kind of watched the first one afterwards, so I kind of did it out of sequence because I just watched it not too long ago with the girlfriend and showed her the movie and stuff like that because she's like, can you think of like a really crazy, really out there slasher film? And I'm like, oh yeah, I got a couple. So that was when I pulled Sleepaway Camp because I just wanted, I mean, I just wanted her to see it and just be like, wow.
So, for weeks, that was Corey, with
Yeah.
me. He's like, dude, I got to show you. We got to watch Sleepaway Camp. We got to watch it. And I was like, what is the big deal about this movie? All right, let's do it. I mean, I was excited either way. But, we finally had a chance to sit down and watch it. And we watched the first two. We didn't get a chance to watch 3 or the alleged starting of 4. But I will say, like, going from the first one to the second one, like, it's a weird feel, like, I will say, not to jump ahead and jump straight to the second one just yet, but like, it was one of the most awkward slashers I ever watched, just because of the whole feel of the movie is kind of like, and granted, there will be spoilers in this. So if you haven't watched Sleepaway Camp, any of them, you're probably not watching this review anyway, but because it is a very obscure, out there, B-rated, cult classic, which is funny because I saw a Blu-ray re-release in Walmart on the main shelf, like in the middle. How they have the setup right there in the middle. They have like family movies on one side. One side might be like 80s films, and so like on the right side of the shelf on the very top shelf was the Blu-ray re-release of Sleepaway Camp. I was like, that is so crazy considering that we just watched that movie and we're going to be podcasting about that movie soon. And I think that's actually, I think I saw it before we decided to do this, which is
awesome.
Even crazy. It was kind of like foreshadowing, but yeah, going back, like the second movie, right away that like the main character of the movie is the killer, and it's just like a sequence after sequence of death scenes from her. And there's still some really creative scenes, like, and we'll get into that later, but yeah, it was just an awkward, like, the pacing, I guess, was very awkward for me because most slashers is like, who's the killer, and this one's just kind of like, here's the killer, she's just gonna fuck everyone up.
It's almost like a character study in a way. Like I think of Maniac in the same way, where Maniac is technically considered a slasher film, but really the narrative is told through the eyes of the killer. Like, you're following him throughout the movie, so it's not like a traditional in that sense. So Maniac's always had that reputation as well. But yeah, absolutely, man. And well, I don't want to jump ahead, but I'll talk about that when we get to Sleepaway Camp too. But I get that feel too, man. Definitely.
Yeah.
Those are the only 2 things I've seen so far this week, gentlemen. Been crazy busy with stuff, so I'm just I only got to these 2. I really want to start popping in a couple more and checking them out here and there. I might get to do that this weekend. Got a little bit of free time this weekend, so unfortunately there's only 2 films I've seen this week.
Yeah, I mean, just I'll go ahead and go, as I'll be quick, but I haven't had a chance to really watch anything this week. I was going to watch Phantasm. I think I actually already gave that back to you, if I'm not mistaken. I did. I gave it back to you because I didn't want to lose it in the move, because we are packing up and getting, and that's the last thing I want, is to lose one of your movies in the move, which losing any of my stuff in the move would be devastating, and I'm knock on wood, it won't happen. But I didn't even get a chance to watch Tremors 4, and I really wanted to. So I'm going to be busting those out this weekend. I'm probably going to finish those up. And then eventually, hopefully, maybe we can do an in-depth dive in those, because those are fun movies.
Definitely. Yeah. I need to get the rest of them.
Yeah, you just got 3 more, right?
Is there 7 of them total, or?
Nah, maybe there's 6. You have 1 through 4. There's Bloodlines, and then Cold Day in Hell. So no, just 2.
Yeah. So I need to get 2 more. Yep. Okay. Yeah, actually, I'm in the same boat. I've been busy. It seems like I just honestly haven't had time to do much of anything. So I haven't really watched anything. But I was able to jump down to Eric's today down at Scratch and Spin.
Oh, you bastard.
And I did pick up 2 movies. And so I will go ahead and talk about those real quick. Believe it or not, you 2 are actually the ones that kind of inspired these 2 pickups.
The band?
Did Bono recommend something for you, man?
No, so Tony, I picked up Blu-ray of Hereditary.
Oh fuck yeah, dude! That movie's so good, man.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's
Movie night.
I can't recommend that movie enough, man. You guys will be, if you see that, you'll be blown away. I
Yeah.
mean, honestly.
I'm excited about it. The case
I'll
really doesn't. It doesn't look like the case shows off much. Like, so there's like not a whole lot going on. So
Yeah, I don't even want to tell you anything because I want everything to be completely. I want you to be completely surprised. I don't even want to say anything on it.
cool.
Mm.
That's a good pickup, though, Corey. That's a good pickup, man.
You're gonna love the next one. So the next one is actually inspired by Daniel, and it's my first Western. So I'm diving into some spaghetti Western.
Hell yeah,
I went and I picked up Massacre Time.
Yeah.
nice. Little
So
that was
Fulci, man.
Fulci.
Fulci, yeah.
Hell yeah.
So
That's rad.
I'm excited about those. So there you go. I started collecting some Westerns, I guess.
It's awesome. I thought you were gonna say you picked up Kabya Mama. Since we were talking about Del Toro films, I've been really wanting to watch that movie again. Like as a kind of a mainstream horror, I really enjoyed that one a lot. Because after a while, the mainstream horrors they're good. They just get kind of predictable, and it's just filled with jump scares and creepy atmosphere. It's not all bad,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm a big fan of Del Toro too because a lot of his stuff reminds me a lot of like Miyazaki stuff. If any listeners out there are fans of like Bloodborne or Dark Souls, like Miyazaki's got a lot of creepy designs in his games, and he really knows how to set an atmosphere in his games, and I think that's why fans love him so much. They're just really dark and eerie in the way he tells his stories, and like Del Toro is infamous for that too. So
Yeah, I'm a big fan of his earlier stuff, man. Yeah, no doubt. Toro's he's he's a good director, dude.
Okay. So a little bit of news. What do you guys think about what occurred this past week with Mr. Dan Hicks?
Yeah. It's really, really sad, man. I mean, I knew, because we were talking on the podcast about, I saw a Facebook post where he was basically telling the fans about his diagnosis and what happened, and said that I believe he said the doctor told him he had a good 2 to 3 years to live, and that was like a month before he passed. So unfortunately, get to live out the prognosis, unfortunately, but he was in really good spirits about it, and when he made the post, he was really like joking and stuff like that. He made an Evil Dead joke in there, and just fans and stuff like that, just so people would kind of be more, a little bit more at peace with it. But man, it really is sad, dude. I had mentioned something about, hey, it would just be great to see him at a convention, and just to hear his stories about working with Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell and all those guys, and then hearing about, of course, Intruder. But unfortunately, that will happen. But rest in peace, Dan Hicks, man. Rest in peace, brother.
Rest in peace, man.
Yep. It sucks, man. We were just talking about it. I hate that. I always hate that when it's like, somebody just comes across in conversation, or you're just thinking of somebody and you're like, man, I ain't seen that dude forever. I wonder how he is. And then it's like you see on the internet where he's passed away or something, or he's sick or something, and it's just real sad. But his legend will go on.
Absolutely, man.
So.
Legend always lives in celluloid.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep. You guys want to jump on into it?
Let's do this. I'm excited about this.
Me too.
All right. Who wants to do the synopsis?
I'll do it. It's fine. So Sleepaway Camp. If you haven't seen it, like I said, turn it off. Which, I mean, chances are you are listening because you have seen it and you want to hear a take on it. Obviously, there will be spoilers. But Sleepaway Camp is It was filmed in '83. It's what's considered now as a B-rated cult classic. Angela Baker, a shy, traumatized young girl, sent to summer camp with her cousin. Shortly after her arrival, anyone with sinister or less than honorable intentions gets their comeuppance. No, that's actually the IMDb description, but no, it's just a fun camp. I guess what you would literally call campy horror movie, for lack of a better term. Yeah, and it's funny because when we were watching this movie, I was like, I wonder if this is where they came up with that term, because I had just recently, well, I say recently, it was maybe about 2 years ago, played a game called Until Dawn.
Oh man, I love that game.
Yeah, it's so good. And all the reviews and all, and even our own reviews of the game, the term campy came up a lot. And when you think of something being campy, you think, I guess corny. I guess not so much corny, but like it's got all the tropes of like the 80s slashers, right? Well, this one literally takes place in a camp. So this girl, when she was real young, her father gets killed in a tragic boat accident. Her and I guess her brother/cousin go to live with some lady, and they get sent off to camp. That's kind of that's the setting of the movie. It's like it starts off, you see what traumatizes her. She gets sent to camp. She's very quiet. But immediately coming into camp, you realize one thing: the kids here are dicks.
Yeah, they are. Jesus,
they
dude,
really are.
There's some really mean, like just stereotypical bullies in this movie, man.
Yeah.
I mean, just to a T. Oh man, yeah, we'll get into that too for sure.
Yeah. So, directed by Robert Hiltzik, the movie actually takes place in I don't know where exactly they say in the movie. The camp does have a name in the movie, but the actual camp, I just had it pulled up. It's Lake Luzerne in New York. Fun fact: the director actually went to this same camp when he was a kid. So, how about that? You go to summer camp as a kid, you grow up, you become a horror movie director, and you say, I'm gonna film a horror movie at the camp I used to go to. So that's pretty badass.
Yeah, it is, dude.
Cool.
Had a box office budget of $350,000 estimated. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a great slasher film for the 80s. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Felicia Rose stars a little girl in this movie. She, if I'm not mistaken, when we looked her up, Corey, she did not have a very big career.
Not really.
Like you actually had the honor of meeting her.
Yeah, Tony and myself both.
Yeah, man. She was really cool.
Yeah, y'all both have the DVD sets with the lipstick.
Yes, sir. Got well, it's the recalled Red Cross edition because originally Anchor Bay put out a Red Cross edition, but they got a lot of complaints about that, so they had to pull it and just put out a just normal like Sleepaway Camp box set without the Red Cross on it. So we were lucky enough. I mean, this was back when we were really collecting out of print stuff. We both found actually, Corey, you hooked me up with this one because I had the standard edition, and you're like, dude, it's a Red Cross edition popping up. You got to get it. And I was like, yeah, I got to get it. So I grabbed it, and man, I'm glad I did. We got to meet Felicia Rose. She was really sweet. She did put lipstick on and kiss our box sets, both of us, which was really cool. Cool.
She's quite the looker.
Yeah, she.
And fun fact, Tony, what's her husband's name?
Oh, Darren Miller, man, from CKY. Yeah.
Yep. Lead singer CKY.
Hell yeah.
That's badass.
Which is funny. The crazy story behind that is I think when he was younger, he watched Sleepaway Camp, and he had a crush on her. And then when he gets older, he marries the actress that he had a crush on, which is just crazy.
Fight the American dream.
I'm telling you.
I wonder if he had a crush on her from the beginning of the film or the end of the film.
He's like, hot damn. On this lady right now.
Oh man.
Oh.
No, yeah. That's pretty much. I think I hooked you up with that box set right before we went to that convention too, didn't we, Tony?
Literally like the week before, dude. It was like perfect timing because I was like, man, I hope because I think I ordered it like a couple weeks before the convention. I was just hoping it would come in time for the convention, but I had the other one just as a backup just in case it didn't come in. At least I can get this one signed. But yeah, man, it came in just in time.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So thanks, Corey.
No problem. I think so that's one of the things that I love about conventions. I like taking that wow factor to the celebrity. That's
Yeah.
that's what really means. That's what means a lot to them, I think.
Yeah. You want to bring them something. Yeah, you want to bring them something they're not used to seeing, like they don't always get. You want to bring something kind of different so they can actually tell you a story with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that, you can just tell she cheered right up as soon as she saw those boxes. I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure she doesn't usually kiss box sets.
No,
I think she did in our case.
Yeah, I think we were the only ones she did that with. I mean, that we saw. I mean, because I didn't, people in line with us, they didn't seem to. They were getting prints and stuff like that signed, but I didn't see really too many box sets, and the ones I did see didn't have lipstick on them. So we lucked out pretty hard there, man.
Holy!
And I don't know what I can't remember what she wrote on yours. She wrote to Tony, "I thought you were the killer." Rose XO.
So
mine.
I definitely misspoke. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut in, but the lady who played Judy was the one that we looked up and we were like, she don't have like a horror movie career at all. But yeah, Felicia Rose definitely not. She has quite the resume. So I misspoke there. Don't kill me. Continue.
No, I was saying that they it was just really cool meeting her. She was really awesome. And one of the things that I liked about meeting her was when I was talking with her, I definitely asked her about the ending and obviously as a young child she had to go to a screening. And one thing I asked her was like, how was your parents, comfortable allowing you to watch something like that? And she was like, they were pretty laid back about the whole thing. You got to remember, she was a 12-year-old child.
Yeah, she was. Yeah,
she apparently made $5,000 off that movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if like legally she could actually have gotten that money, but I think child actors technically per contract the money has to go to the parents, which is could be wrong. I don't know how it works. But at 12 years old, you know what I mean? Like if my son was in a movie and they're like, we're gonna pay your son, $100,000 to play in this movie, and be like, yeah, you might want to give me that because God knows what my 12-year-old son's gonna buy. Yeah, I bought like 1,000 PS5s,
bouncy balls.
Yeah. I bought the White House. I put bouncy balls in it and then set it on fire. Like, oh, okay. Good job, son. I'm proud of you. So.
Yeah, but yeah, I had a lot of fun watching this. This was this one's always pretty much a wow factor. I think Tony introduced this one to me, kind of early on in my collecting era, and then pretty much I introduced Frosty to it, in which you seemed to enjoy it, and I couldn't wait to get to the ending with you on that one. It almost seems like that's what you always hope for. Is you can't wait for that ending.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I gotta say that when we watched Tenebrae, I kind of surprisingly, kind of halfway through, I figured out that they were two killers. This one threw me off. I gotta admit, like it was wild. Like I did not expect that ending. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was definitely for its time a very gutsy ending. You know what I mean?
Well, honestly, man, one of the best endings in horror, man. It's right up there. I mean, there's some good ones, of course. Halloween, I throw the Beyond in there, but Sleepaway Camp's got one of the best, man. No doubt about it. If you're not spoiled and you go into it blind, you never gonna see that ending coming. Not in a million years, man.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
no way you can ever predict that.
Yeah, and I love that, like it's my I go back to my there's a couple movies that resonate with me. Like there's a movie called Identity with John Cusack. The ending to that movie was great. There's Saul, the first Saul.
Oh yeah, that's another one.
Absolutely. Like I was in the theaters, you know what I mean? And like when you find out that the killer's been laying in the middle of the floor the whole time, you're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no doubt, dude.
Yeah.
It definitely. Yep. That's a good one, Frosty. That's a great one. Saw has got another. It's up there with one of the best endings in horror for
Game
sure.
over.
Yeah,
Fucking
really cool. And then he
great.
just slams the door. It's just so
Uh,
wicked. And then it cuts to black. It's perfect.
oh no. Oh my gosh. Poor Wesley. uh,
Uh,
but
yeah.
so yeah, we were talking about the kids in this movie. The kids in this movie were dicks.
Yeah.
One in particular is Karen Fields, who played Judy.
Oh, Jude.
And
Yeah.
and I was like, gosh, she looks so familiar. And this is actually what sparked that conversation, because I was like, we got to look her up. I know I've seen her in another movie. Nope, she did not have a very illustrious career at all. But her character in that movie was such a bitch, and she played it
Oh
really
yeah.
well.
Played it straight. Absolutely. She played it straight, man.
Dude, she
And I
nailed
think
it.
honestly, dude, out of the bullies in the movie, her and Meg are the standouts for sure because they
I
are
was
so
gonna say,
bitchy.
Yeah, like the whole
Meg's
time
the same way.
you want them to die so bad.
Oh, dude, you hate them. You hate them. They're so bitchy, and they play it so straight, and it's so good. But they're memorable. You remember their names. I mean, there's a lot of the bullies in the movie, especially the guy bullies. I mean, you don't really remember their name, but those two, you remember Meg and you remember Judy,
Mm.
no doubt.
So here's a fun fact for you. I actually saw before we started recording, but Jane Krakowski was originally cast to play Judy. Uh, she is the blonde hair lady who she played in Ally McBeal, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. She played Cousin Vicky in National Lampoon's Vacation. So she must have been really, really young. But more notably, she played Jenna Maroney in 30 Rock. So very talented, very attractive actress. She had a very funny character in 30 Rock too. So is that show even still on? Like, is it? No, it's not. 2016, 2013. But that was a fun show. I watched that for a good bit.
Yeah, and apparently, she, like I said, she was originally up for that part, but after seeing her death scene, she thought it was too grisly, so that's why she kind of backed out, which is pretty interesting.
Didn't she have the most tame death scene?
It's weird to say, but I mean, it just goes to show you, like, slasher films aren't for everybody. They, they
Yeah.
definitely can turn some people off in the industry. So
The second one had, like, in my opinion, one of the worst. And I say worst, like, it's probably one of the more gruesome ones, because it more so left you to the imagination. But
oh yeah, I know
the
exactly
one
what you're talking about. Mhm.
the one where she drowns her in the outhouse
Oh yeah,
in the
oh,
leeches, like you
yep.
just you drowned in shitty leech water. Like that's terrible. Oh, that was a rough one. Like, it wasn't that graphic. It was just
It definitely left a lot to be for the imagination for sure.
yeah.
But I want to talk about when we talk about Sleepaway Camp, I want to talk about Aunt Martha because I'm telling you, man, that character, she is so out there, and she plays it again, plays it straight, like you believe it. Because this woman, I mean, she tied a string to her finger to remind herself to not forget something for them when they go to camp, which turns out to be their physicals, which kind of alludes to um, and there's a couple of scenes in the movie that allude to a secret that Angela has, and I noticed that a lot in this watch. I mean, you notice it, but you pick up on things more, like the fact that she did the physicals, so because she is a doctor, so she can do it. But I don't think that's according to their regulation at the camp. So she's like, well, you can't let them know. And then Ricky's like, well, whatever they do, I'll never tell. And that's another thing I like too is Ricky's character, man. Ricky's awesome. He is so cool, man. He's always out to protect his cousin. He's very protective, and some of his lines are the best. Like I think one of my favorite lines in the whole movie is when he's arguing. They're playing like a pickup baseball game.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys know where I'm going with this. He's arguing with the guy, and he's like, eat shit and die, Ricky. He's like, eat shit and live, Bill. I love that line. So good. So good. I'm like, this dude is shit.
Because one of the worst things ever that happened to you is eating shit and living with it.
It's just so perfect the way he delivered it. And I mean, just everything that Ricky says, I'm just like, this guy is fucking cool.
I like how those dudes were like twice their size, more macho. They were more physically fit, taller. They had all the attributes that could make up a solid baseball team, and they got their ass kicked by
a bunch of
middle
kids.
schoolers. And then the middle schoolers talked complete shit about him.
Oh man, it's so good.
It's completely opposite than what you see in literally every form of media, because it's always, macho guys picking on nerds. It's like, nope, not this time.
Yeah, it's a good flip on it, man. I didn't even realize. I mean, but it is.
And with Robert Hiltzik growing up, going to this camp particularly, I wonder if that's like based on a real thing that happened. Like, yeah, me and my buddies beat the shit out of these college kids in baseball.
It very well could be, man. I'd like to know some trivia on that. That would be cool if
that would be interesting.
Yeah, no doubt. Because he could have took that straight from his experience at camp.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely. Right. That was such a oh god. Now that you say it, that was well, the only thing that could have made that scene better is if the dog from Tenebrae
shot out and just started chasing. No doubt, dude.
Jumping fences.
Oh yes.
But then you got one of the most likable characters, and then one of the most scumbag, horrible, disgusting, depraved human beings on the world, and Artie the cook.
Oh,
like
God.
He's the epitome of a scumbag piece of shit. And he says, and the Baldies line is one of the most sickening lines, and it's just it makes your skin crawl when you hear it. And then the fact that he's so open about it, and everyone's laughing about it, like it's a like, oh, he's just messing around. No, he's being dead serious. He is a pedophile, and you guys are laughing at this. This is not funny at all. But
I mean, like that's kind of fucked up, Artie.
Yeah, he's like, they're too young to know what's on your mind. I'm like, dude, that's awful. Yeah, these are like 12-year-olds, man. What are you doing? But yeah, they set up his death. Well, I wouldn't say death because he doesn't really officially die, because it's kind of left open.
You're right, he doesn't
or not. But he did get what was coming to him for sure. That was a fitting punishment, no doubt. I love the way. I love the way it was done too, with the boils and stuff like that, which was really neat. When he gets boiled, pretty much boiled alive. It was really cool how they articulated the boils to kind of like pulsate when he was screaming in agony. It was really, really, and that's another thing I want to say about this film is some of the after effects of the death scenes are really cool looking.
Yeah,
like the dummies and stuff that they used as the props and stuff like that really look cool.
I mean, for the practical effects, it was quite, really well done. I don't even know who did the practical effects for the film, but it was done really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
For even that budget and that time period. But yeah, I second that. But one thing that I kept wondering in that whole scene was, where the fuck did they find a pot that fucking big?
Huge, dude.
It had to be custom made.
Oh, had to be.
I don't know. Like, would a pot even work like that? Like, I don't even think a pot would work like that. Like,
Dude, a pot that big, like you're not feeding a army, you're feeding the army.
The army, right?
That was a big pot.
It was huge, dude. It was about the size of Artie, and Artie was a big dude. Like he
Yeah.
was a big guy. So
I really,
yeah.
when I first watched it, I thought that he was gonna fall in the pot and cook him. I was like, there's no way. But like the way they did it was definitely way better. But
Oh yeah.
one of the most like the weirdest death scene was the bee scene,
Oh yeah.
which they actually took a dummy, put sugar on it to attract the bees, and that's how they got it to like the bees to be attracted to the dummy that was laying there. That was such an awkward scene. Like that guy must have been really allergic to bees.
Definitely. But the fact is, like, this dude is like, obviously they show that he's a macho dude. He's a big guy, and the only thing holding him in that little small little bathroom was like, or the stall was like this little broom handle that was just slid in. Like he couldn't just break right through that or jump through the window that was already cut.
or
It was just
crawled
so
underneath.
funny.
Like, why not just get on the floor and crawl underneath real quick?
Right. You can crawl right underneath the stall too. There was a wide enough opening for you to do that. But I like I said, to Frosty's point, maybe he was just so allergic to bees, like he just started flipping out and he just didn't think. Like it's possible, anything's possible. But I just thought that was really funny.
Those
I
are
always
bees.
laugh
Those
at
are
that.
murder hornets.
I'm telling you, dude.
They cleaned him out, man.
They cleaned him out. They definitely did.
That was like the scene in the old Godzillas when a Mothra would fly over. Then, like the next scene, it would just be skeletons on the ground. God. The shower scene was cool. The shower scene was you stabbing through, because it wasn't so much a stab scene as much as it was she stabbed in it and like slowly sawed her way down.
Yeah.
And then when it actually showed the body on the floor, you could see the giant gash in the back. I thought that was a really cool touch.
Yeah. I just like I like that. I like that scene too because of the edits, the cuts from the knife to her. It's pretty cool. It's really well done.
Yeah. This was a very well filmed. I mean, we call it B-rated or whatever, but I mean, looking back, like it was very well filmed, very very thought out.
Yeah.
In a time where like slashers were king. You know what I mean? Like this one was, I don't know, relative to its time, if it had even held a candle to any of the other slashers that were out. But looking back now, like it can hold its own. It's a great film.
Oh man, it's loved in the horror community. The genre fans, I mean, they praise Sleepaway Camp. I don't really know too many people that do not like this movie. It's definitely up there as one of the slasher films that is key, in that time frame from 1980 to around 85. I mean, they still made some in 86 and everything, but that was when it really peaked. And I think it was 81 was the year of the slasher. That's when all the heavy hitters came out. And I think this one it holds very well to those other, classic ones. I mean, it is a classic. So definitely, man. It's like I said, very loved in the community.
So before we kind of jump into the second one here, we have got to talk about the cop with the fake mustache.
Oh yes, that definitely has to come into play. You gotta talk about that.
So apparently he had a mustache that he shaved, but didn't have time to grow it back. So he's like, "All right, lay it on me."
Like, it's so bad, man. And when you watch the Blu-ray, it's so much worse. Like I watched my DVD, and it of course it looked bad. It was very noticeable. But when you watch that Blu-ray, man, it looks like somebody took electrical tape and put it on his lip. It's ridiculous. It's so bad. I think there's.
What's funny is Corey never noticed it before. And when we were watching it, Corey about died. He's like, he's wearing a fake mustache. Oh my god.
It's pretty terrible.
It's awful, man. I don't know why they made that decision. Like people shave their facial hair. It happens. Like just roll with it.
Yeah.
It could be like I don't know why it was so detrimental to that scene to put a fake mustache on this guy. I mean, I know they don't have the foresight to know that, Blu-ray is gonna, HD is gonna be a thing, and you can definitely tell. I mean, of course, they didn't have the foresight then, but still, it's just like, man, that was just, I don't know who made that call, but that was, I mean, I'm glad they did, so we can laugh at it and everybody can laugh at it now. But
Yeah,
that was a bad decision on their part.
I wonder if like he did on purpose. Like, I'm gonna do this. It's just so the fans can notice, or not so much fans, but because you never, and putting out a movie like that, like you don't know how far it's gonna reach. Like,
No
I'm
doubt.
pretty sure the guy Robert Hiltzik or whatever never imagined there being a fan base behind Sleepaway Camp the way it has been. But like I kind of wonder if it's one of those things. Because if it was me directing the movie, I'd be like, absolutely, you have to have a mustache. And I love the unsung rule in the '80s where like every cop had to have a mustache.
Seemed to be a trope in and of itself.
It had to happen.
That shows authority. You have to have a mustache.
That's right. They're trying to bring it back. There's people out there like trying to grow mustaches and bring it back, and it's just not. It's like, nah, no, just don't do it, man. Even if they look good with it, it's like, nah, take it off.
Take it off. Save that damn thing.
So, what is everyone's thoughts here on the undertones of the film? We kind of hit on it in the beginning, a little bit. What's y'all's thoughts on it?
Yeah, dude, I'm glad you brought that up, Corey, because there is some serious undertones. Especially when, she has that that flashback to, her and her, the two kids looking at their dad and the other guy, and they were like holding each other, and it was kind of like, you can kind of tell, you can kind of read between the lines there. And that was right before, that uncomfortable scene where, she's just very uncomfortable around Paul's character because Paul's trying to like move in on her and kind of, just kind of give her a smooch or whatever. And then she's just like, no, I'm not feeling this. And, and I wonder to that point, you see Ricky, he's very protective of Angela. And I wonder if it's because he knows about this or just because that he's very protective of his cousin. I don't know really because it's not really, they don't really dive into that much, but I don't know if he's uber protective of her because of the secret that she has. And he's really, maybe his mom kind of hammered it in to where, I don't know, they don't really go into that much, but I always wondered that. And I wondered that really, like, I wondered that big time on this watch. Like, I wonder how much Ricky knows. Like, I wonder if he is aware, like his mom is, or you just don't know.
Yeah. Also, I mean, I kind of looked into it as like they were kind of setting that tone of this girl who's had a very traumatizing upbringing, and really playing into like the inevitable reveal at the end of her being the killer. Spoilers. And so I kind of looked into it like, hey, this girl's got some issues she's dealing with. So when you inevitably find out that she is the killer, there's like there's a moment there where you can go, oh, okay, that makes sense because she's crazy,
Right.
But at the same time, I'm kind of with you, like, how much did Ricky know? Was he throwing out subtle hints there to kind of, I don't know, maybe it was a smokescreen. Maybe he was doing that to kind of like make you think that she had a bigger significance with like the relationship of the killer, or what, just kind of throw you off, I guess. You know what I mean? That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, there seems to be, and then watching the movie now, and this watch, I mean, I've seen this movie, I don't know, probably about 10 times, but I noticed a lot more red herrings in this watch, especially in the Meg kill. There's a scene where one of the kids at the camp, they kind of give him a hard time a lot, and his name is Mozart, and he pulls out a knife, and he's like going after Ricky and stuff because they played a prank on him.
Yeah.
And then that same knife is used to kill Meg. So you think then it's like, oh, maybe Mozart could be the killer. Like,
Yeah.
because you see the same knife kill her, and it's like, oh, well, that's his knife. Or somebody could have took his knife. I mean, it's either way. They set it up to, be another red herring. Like Ricky was obviously one. And even Paul at a certain point you can throw him in there as being, a potential red herring as well. And that's the funny thing about this. When you watch the Blu-ray, there is a scene right before Judy's death where you see the silhouette of the killer. And with the Blu-ray, they clean it up so much that you can clearly see that it's Jonathan Tiersten, the guy that played Ricky, in a wig. So you're like, yeah, I mean, you can see it clear as day. It's very cleaned up. I mean, that Blu-ray, the picture quality is fantastic, but you can clearly see that it's Ricky. And that kind of like, if you watch it for the first time on Blu-ray, that'll kind of throw you off, especially when you get to the end and you're like, wait a minute, how did that work? But when you look into the production, they did use, Ricky was used as the killer for the close-up shots of the hands and everything like that. That was Jonathan Tiersten's hands. So, yeah. So, and then again, it makes, it kind of plays into it because he was the stand-in, because obviously Felissa Rose was 12 at the time. Her parents weren't really comfortable with her going around, doing that. So,
but that just adds to it too, because Angela's character was male in the movie the whole time, and then they use a man's hands, or boy's hands, or adolescents.
Exactly.
And I noticed stuff like that too in movies where, like, I don't know what it is about hands in movies. They give away so much, like we talked about Dario Argento using his hands for like the kill scenes in Tenebrae and stuff like that. And yeah. And there's a scene in Black Hawk Down, great film. But there's a scene where like the guy's on the turret gun, and like one scene he's got gloves on, next scene he doesn't. Like, it's kind of like, what do they do there? Like, I realize they cut, but it's kind of like, why don't you just leave the gloves on? So I thought it was kind of interesting. But
yeah, it's to the point, man. It's when you get to the end and you realize what happens, and that end just completely floors you. It still gives me chills, like when I watch it. It just, like, I don't know, it's something about the music cue and then the face. And man, it just gives you chills, dude.
It gave me chills. I'm not gonna lie.
Really does. It really does. And I watched it with a buddy, and he was like, "Oh, dude," after the movie, after it was over, he had to get up, and he's like, "I got to get out. I got to I got to just walk away and just process what I just saw." And I was like, "I understand, buddy. It's cool."
Was it the scary
it's a lot,
or was it like the look at his dick?
Right.
A little of both.
A little bit of both. Yeah. Definitely, man.
To add to what you were saying, Tony, with Ricky, not knowing whether or not Angela, well, it's Angela's secret. I think in my opinion, I took it as he didn't know, and pretty much just because there's a scene towards the end of the film where his mom, which is her aunt, is like brushing her hair, talking about I've always wanted a little girl and stuff, and then she's like, I just can't wait for you to meet your cousin or whatever. He'll be home soon,
See,
so right there,
that he didn't know. Yeah,
it just kind of made me think that he didn't know the whole time, but he was ultimately deemed to protect her because that was her cousin. She's dealt with a pretty traumatized life.
Exactly, man. Like I said, you can look at it in two different ways and kind of like process it. And I think it's cool that they leave that they don't really spell that out for you. They kind of leave it up to your interpretation, and however you feel, how it goes and stuff like that is completely personal, and you can kind of make that up on your own. But I think it's pretty cool. I never really paid attention to it, and I kind of thought about it. I'm like, it's like interesting if Ricky even knows, if he's just protecting his cousin because he's he's big on family, and he's just very protective of his cousin in general. I mean, or he's very protective of because of the secret. So It's
Yeah, I wish my cousins would ride or die like that.
right, no joke, dude. Like seriously, like that like that's why Ricky's my favorite character, man. I like oh, and I got to throw out another character that we haven't talked about yet. The big buff Ronnie. Ronnie's the shit, man. That dude is huge.
Dude.
He wears the tightest shorts, and you see a lot of tight shorts in this movie, man.
You do.
I'm telling you, man. I am almost like scene for scene waiting for like nuts to pop out. They're so short. I mean, I'm shocked that there wasn't a ball that popped out once or twice. Like it's crazy. But Ronnie's just so cool, man. He's a genuine sweet person in the movie, and like he takes like an initiative to kind of help Angela out and be super nice to her, and just kind of be like a like a protector almost, and kind of like help her guide through this whole crazy camp, and because he can kind of see that she she doesn't really fit in, and
Yeah.
she's kind of having a tough time getting it. And it just goes to show to his character, man, he really is a sweet person, and he's just so big that he knows like, hey, I'm a big dude, but at the end of the day I'm a teddy bear and I'm a nice guy. So he's cool, man. I like Ronnie's character too, man.
Yeah, his character was definitely like polar opposite to what you see most characters that are casted for parts like that, because they could easily turn him into like a big sleazeball, a macho, like sarcastic, like pompous, arrogant guy, but they didn't. He just seemed like a cool camp counselor.
Definitely, man.
I was kind of waiting on it. I was like, something's gonna happen, but it never did. And I was like, well, that's different.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And what I was kind of curious what you guys' take on the sleeping bag kills, like what you guys' take on that was, because that just came out of nowhere. Like I couldn't even believe that. I mean, obviously I've seen the movie enough to kind of process and be like, I get it, but then again, it's like, why did they shoot that scene? I don't know.
Like they're just chilling in the sleeping bags.
All those kids, man. Yeah.
They just get mauled. Yeah, it didn't fit the MO. I don't know if like it's just kind of since the movie was winding down and it did that thing where the killer was just, snapping and just say, I've gotten this far, might as well kill everyone, because they didn't really fit the, I don't remember those kids bullying Angela. Could be wrong, but they were just kind of like, oh, time to go to sleep, and then the next scene they're just completely mauled,
just hacked up into pieces, man.
It's pretty brutal.
Like what? That dude was like, what the hell happened here?
Oh yeah,
he was gone 10 minutes.
It's crazy, man. I don't know. I just never. I know the director. I've seen interviews or read where he said he regrets filming that or shooting that scene, and he feels like it doesn't add anything to the overall, to the movie overall. So he kind of regretted filming that. And I'm like, I get it. I mean, yeah, it kind of makes sense because, like, to Frosty's point, it doesn't fit Angela's MO. It doesn't fit that she was going after, well, that Angela was going after people that were, cruel to her and bullying her and stuff like that. So yeah, I didn't. Yeah.
No.
I was always kind of curious about that scene. I didn't know why that was in the movie. Not to say that takes anything away from the movie overall, but it's just a very curious scene to say the least. And seriously, how in the hell are they playing water balloons on the roof of the damn cabin? Like, how is that safe at all? Like, who is like, what do they do? They're not having anybody watch the kid. I mean, that's crazy. That's super dangerous, man. The roof is slick and they're up there just throwing water balloons and having a water fight.
Oh my gosh.
I like how Mel was just like, hey, get down from there. That's unsafe. I've been like, I'm calling your parents. You're going home now.
Oh shit, man.
Did you ever see that movie called Camp Nowhere with Christopher Lloyd? It was basically these kids don't want to go. They're all getting sent to different summer camps, and they're all camps they hate. So they all decide to make their own camp. So they recruit this like swindler, con artist, like running from the law, bum, played by Christopher Lloyd, to basically be a camp counselor so they can create their own camp. It's a great movie, but it's very unrealistic. It's like that typical 90s summer kids movie, and it's funny because I mean these kids get like fireworks and all this crazy stuff. It's like this stuff would never happen, you know. and, and of course, a cop catches wind of it and he like starts investigating him. He's like, something's not right here, you know. But
No, I've never checked that out, man. I gotta check that movie out.
yeah, it's pretty dope.
Put that down and check that movie out.
I found it. I think I saw it years ago, and then it was on I think Netflix. I was like, holy shit, I ain't seen this movie forever. No, it was on Disney Plus. That and Heavyweights.
Yeah, when you were talking about, I thought of Heavyweights. Like, I don't know why I think of like the early '90s
Great
camp
movie.
aesthetic. I think about Heavyweights all the time.
Great movie.
Yeah, it is.
Please put your fat finger down.
Oh man, it's been I need to check that out too. It's been years.
So good. So yeah, Sleepaway Camp 2. Unhappy Campers is the subtitle for this one. Filmed in February 28th, 1988, the year I was born. So this one was a weird one. Like I said earlier, this was an awkward slasher for me, because it was completely opposite from the pacing and the tone of the first Sleepaway Camp. It was very the killer was right there the whole time. You know, they start the story off. You think that it's gonna be like, you know, we're gonna tell the tale of the first Sleepaway Camp, which is what they did. They're all this starts off as a couple of kids sitting around a campfire, telling an old quote unquote urban legend about the killings at the camp from the first movie. And then immediately it shows you the killer, whose name's Angela. And so you immediately, I mean, you put two and two together. Oh, this is the same Angela from the first movie. And then it just kind of expounds on that. And it's more so just Angela plays like a camp sheriff in this movie. She's just kind of like, she doesn't like the kids to really have fun, you know, or I say have fun, but she doesn't like to see them doing promiscuous things, you know, like if they're caught kissing or drinking, like she really punishes them hard. So, and so I mean, and that's not even a spoiler. Like this is immediately from the start of the movie, and it really threw me off because yeah, exactly. Like the first kill of the movie is what 30 seconds in the movie. It's like you started, they got a campfire, they tell the story, and then she finds one of the girls drinking. She's like, "What are you doing hanging out with the boys? You don't need to be out here." And she's like, "Whatever." Walks off, and then like, bam, she's dead.
Right, literally, bam.
Yeah,
and then she gets her tongue cut out in one of the most hokey gags you'll ever see. It's crazy. That's one thing I've noticed about the two. Like the effects in Sleepaway Camp 2 are not nearly as good. Like they're really, really off. They're really off. A lot of the gore and stuff like that. I noticed watching it this time. But yeah, I mean, it's not left to the imagination. I mean, Angela played by Pamela Springsteen, who is Bruce Springsteen's sister, which is crazy.
Really?
Yeah, and she didn't tell anybody that during the production and during the shooting, so nobody knew it. And then they found out after the fact. So they were like, "Wow, that's crazy. You didn't even tell us."
So tell us something about yourself. Oh, my brother's a rock star.
Yeah.
One of the biggest rock stars in the 80s. Okay.
Yeah, my brother's just the boss. No big deal.
Yeah.
No big deal. But yeah, yeah, not right. But she plays it. What did you guys think about her performance and overall, Pamela Springsteen as Angela?
She was such a nerd. Like, it was one of the nerdiest killers in any movie I've ever seen, ever.
Right. She's so goody-goody, and so, like, she's the moral killer. Like, if you have questionable morals and stuff like that, she's going to kill you off. And I don't know. She just plays it kind of really, like, I wouldn't say innocent, but she kind of, like, I don't know, man. There's something off about the character. Like, obviously, I mean, she's been to how many doctors, and when she gets into a rant at the end when she's like, "Well, I've been to so many doctors, had so many pills, and this and that, and went through." I think she said, went through communion or something like that, and went through, I don't know, but she said she had all that go on. They just let her go, and then they were like, she's deemed normal to go into society, and right, which is complete bullshit. That would never happen in a million years. But it's just funny how that played out. But I don't know. I had a hard time kind of figuring out her character in this movie. It's the way she plays it. I mean, not to say that she's bad. It's just something slightly off, and maybe that.
I don't. She wasn't very Hollywood with it. Like she didn't. It didn't. She didn't look like a woman who was trying to act like a killer. It was like, it was kind of believable,
Right.
which is weird. It's like kind of what you would see in a real killer. Like she's just doing it. Like her mind is telling her to do it, and she's doing it. And you know what I mean? Like, and she's just kind of going through the motions, and the killings are happening, and it really just some of the it was just weird. Like I'm looking through some of the screenshots now, just kind of fiddling, but one of the kills that was really weird was the one where she knocked the two girls out, and then the one girl's tied up, and she wakes up, and her friend's been burned to the bone, and she's like sitting there looking at her burnt friend, and then she's talking to her, and she's just kind of like, you girls are been misbehaving and whatever she says. It's like, what? So then she starts pouring gasoline all over her, and she's gonna set her on fire. Just just nonchalantly.
Yeah, very nonchalantly, and then she does do that nonchalant, like when she's killing, like that. I think of the scene where she pulls, she's talking to the girl in the car, and she's getting ready to leave, and she's like, "Well, are you going to say you're sorry?" And she's like, "Well, no, I'm not." And she's like, "Okay." And she reaches in the back, and she's like, "What are you doing? Getting a gun?" And she's like, "No, just a drill." And then she drills.
Yeah.
It's just like really nonchalantly, like no big deal, just boom, just I'm just going through the motions, and I get that, watching her performance. It just seems like she's just going through the motions. Not to say that she's doing a bad job. It's just like, I don't know. It's almost like she's on autopilot, kind of. It's weird.
But everything about this movie is weird.
Yeah, but it kind of fits the character a little bit too. I don't know. It's just very bizarre.
Eccentric. Awkward.
Very eccentric. There you go. Eccentric.
Yeah, it's just an awkward, eccentric killer. And I'm sitting there looking at the promo poster, and it's like some chick that's not even in the movie. When you go camping, just take the essentials, and then she's got a backpack on, and in the backpack is you got Freddy Krueger's blade fingers, you got Jason's mask.
I always love that. Matter of fact, I was going to talk about that. That's one video I remember when I go to the video store. I remember that video being out there all the time, and I always like that. I want to watch this movie because it's got Freddy's glove on it, and it's got Jason's mask on it, and there's a chick just with the backpack going to camp and stuff like that. And I'm like, I want to see that. It really drew me in, and I distinctly remember that box more than most others. I remember that box very well. And that's when I always kind of looked to when I was doing the video store browsing. But yeah, it's great artwork, man. Really cool.
Is that even her in that artwork?
No, it's not her at all.
That's the funny thing.
That's a funny, yeah.
To go back to your point though, Tony, I'm kind of siding with both of you guys in a sense. I think she played the character quite well for what she was portraying, and especially of course I don't know what budget this had, but it seems like it wouldn't have had a big budget. But to what you were talking about, Tony, I wanted to get that out there. There is something that's really off there. I don't know if it was written in the script or if she just kind of added to the character, but something was a little off there. Yeah. But with that being said, I felt that she portrayed the character quite well. Just the scene where she's playing the guitar and singing the Happy Camper song or whatever. Yeah. It's just really unfitting, and it's like wow, like she's genuinely fucked up in the head.
That's just Pamela Springsteen.
Yeah.
Like I keep seeing the promo posters and stuff. They keep calling her Angela, the Angel of Death. I'm wondering if like their goal was to create like a female slasher villain, like Jason, Freddy, but it just didn't didn't take off. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which
And,
it completely makes sense because I mean, back in I think this film was shot in '87, came out in '88. That's when most of the Nightmare on Elm Street sequels and Friday the 13th sequels were like they were still pumping them out and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So I'm sure they wanted to kind of jump on that bandwagon and have like maybe a female slasher villain. To your point, Frosty, that's a really good point, man. I didn't think about it, but looking at the year it came out, it makes total sense. I mean, I could definitely see that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is a different director.
Mhm.
Michael A. Simpson,
Mm-hmm.
looks like, directed this one. So I mean, that's always a thing too, right? Whenever you got and that's why a lot of movies suffer from sequelitis, because you got this vision for a movie that his director pours his heart and soul in, and he makes a perfect, what he thinks is the perfect movie. And then the sequel, they want to make a sequel to cash in on that because, like, hey, if the first one's good, we can do it again. But the director's like, I don't want to touch it, so they get a different director, or and through legal reasons or whatever, they move forward, and they sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, you know. That's why in most movies it's like you can't beat the first one. You know what I mean? There are exceptions.
Oh yeah.
Like I think Terminator was a great exception. Terminator
Godfather
2.
Part Two.
Yeah.
Godfather Part Two is another one. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Even Aliens. I mean, some would argue Aliens.
Yeah. 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 Aliens was actually, for the longest time, I liked Aliens more than Alien.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I just was drawn to the fact that they were just got this group of Marines. You had awesome one-liners, and you had like the sheer number of aliens outnumbering them. But then, as I got older, I learned to appreciate the first one more for its atmosphere and all. But like both movies are great in their own sense.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Definitely. So, not trying to go on like an alien tangent here. We gotta save that for another episode. But say that to say that the from Sleepaway Camp 1 to 2, it's such a different, like you could definitely tell like the first one was just way more thought out and meticulous and in its approach.
Yeah, very much so. And with the second one, you can definitely tell it's more of a spoof. It's more of a comedy. It's got a lot of comedy in it. And the first one was really played straight. And I think with both, because the same director came back for part 2 and 3, because they were shot back to back. And I think that's the tone they were going for. I mean, obviously it was because both movies are kind of more comical and they kind of play more like spoofs than actual sequels. I mean, because you can really, it follows and the Angela character, but it's almost like in its own separate like world as far as the sequel's concerned, because it doesn't really, I don't know, it's just so bizarre. It's really bizarre. But yeah, you could definitely tell the heavy dose of comedy that was injected into the 2 sequels for sure.
I feel like it's just a cash in, too, because looking at like Michael A. Simpson's IMDb here, his filmography, like I don't doubt that the man is a fan of horror, but a lot of his movies aren't. They don't look, he's not like a lot of his movies that he had directed or produced even just aren't horror. You know what I mean? He's got a very wide range of movies that he's directed. Looks like some romantic comedies and some dramas, and I'm not doubting his his direction or whatever, but it's almost like because it was the 80s and slashers were big, it looked kind of like cash in opportunity. And I don't know. I mean, it was very, you can tell that from the promo posters. When you put Jason's mask and Freddy's fingers on the cover, it's like, oh, this movie's going to be like those movies. You know what I mean? I kind of feel like if you go back and you look, that's exactly what it was. And she was heavily promoted as like from the looks of it as a female, antagonist, slasher antagonist. You know what I mean? And so it's very interesting, and I'm just basing all of this off of conjecture and just the promo pictures. You know what I mean? But it's interesting. It's interesting to see, definitely.
Right.
Also, it's for mature audiences over 15 years old, apparently. This is definitely way before the ESRB. So.
Oh, one thing I wanted to point out with this is well, one thing that I think Frosty and myself definitely pointed out. Now we watched the old was it the Anchor Bay one? I think it was or something, but it definitely wasn't the Scream Factory.
It's whatever you're in that case, ain't it? Your collection.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was the Anchor Bay, but the bad sound quality.
Oh yeah.
Remember what I'm talking?
Oh, the leaves.
The leaves.
Oh my gosh, I don't know if they. So I'd be interested to see the difference in quality from like what the version we watched, and maybe if there is a Blu-ray version. But there were scenes in that movie where the audio is very off.
Like they like if they're like walking, like even through grass to a cabin or whatever, but it sounds like they are trotting through a forest of leaves. It's so terrible. That's exactly the way it sounded.
Yeah, the audio is so weird. There was even a part of the movie where it went silent, didn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
So
We kept pointing every scene that was like that. We pointed it out. Tony, you watched the Scream Factory, didn't you?
No, actually, dude, I watched the old Anchor Bay. I pulled out my Sleepaway Camp box set to watch some, and yeah, I pulled out the DVDs for it to check them out because I wanted to kind of watch them on that quality. But you know what's funny, man? I don't know. Sometimes I have a bad ear for that stuff, but I probably subconsciously noticed it, but just didn't really pay attention. So that's pretty interesting. I didn't have that on my notes, but that's pretty interesting. You guys bring that up.
Yeah, it was definitely really bad on um the effects department or editorial department. It's pretty bad.
That's pretty interesting. I didn't. I have there is one scene I've never been a big fan of, or one sequence I've never been a big fan of, and that's the Angela's dream sequence. I can't stand that. I don't know why. I just never been a big fan of it. It seems like it kind of like, I don't know, the movie's kind of running at a pace, and then it just kind of halts there. And I don't know if it's the way it's shot and the way it's done, the slow down. I don't know, but I just never really been. That's one scene I just never really been a big fan of.
Yeah, was that the one where she was like dreaming of all the kills she'd already committed?
Yeah. And really that's like a highlight. Like you should be excited about that and you should be like, oh, this is cool. And we're seeing all the kills, but like we saw the kills. So really it just kind of slowed down the pace a little bit.
Yeah. And it really had no place in the movie.
It really didn't. I mean, you can tell just based on her character that she was a little deranged. I mean, obviously she's playing it kind of that way. So really that scene was not really even needed. And which is another reason I don't like the way it's shot and edited and slowed down, and it just seems pointless to me. It just seems to add to the runtime, and I don't know. Just never been a big fan of that scene.
Nice. Apparently, this is looking through some of the trivia here. Apparently, this is Chris Jericho's favorite slasher film.
So random.
So random. I would have never guessed that. Oh man.
I mean, I don't want to come off like I'm knocking the movie or anything, fellas, because I mean it's a fun movie. It's a fun way to just pop in a movie and just get a good laugh. And
I thoroughly enjoyed this movie.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I've been saying a lot of negative. I don't want to come across like I'm bashing this movie at all, but I have a fun time with it. So I mean, is it anywhere on the same level as the original Sleepaway Camp? I mean, obviously not, because the original Sleepaway Camp's upper echelon, but this one, it's fun. I have a good time with it. I like the nods to, I mean, even based on that poster art, that kind of comes into play when these two guys are trying to scare Angela. One of them's dressed like Freddy, the other one's trying to dress up like Jason, and then she trumps them by dressing up like Leatherface. So I thought that was really neat.
Yeah.
I like that part.
Yeah. Yeah.
And well, that's another thing. Tony Frosty hasn't seen the third one yet. So hopefully he'll be able to watch that this week or this weekend or whatever.
Yeah.
So that way we can do a review on it. But in my opinion, and you can maybe back this one up, but I think the third one's a little bit better than this one, in my opinion. and again, there's a lot of homage to some of the other ones, a lot of hat offs to some of the other great films that came before it, and stuff like that. And, I remember having a funner time with that one than I did with this one. But this one is pretty good for what it's worth too. The comical aspect, it works. One of my favorite things is about this whole film is she's a camp counselor, and pretty much like her campers just keep disappearing until she has one girl left in her cabin, and she's like, "Where did they all go?" And she was like, "They were bad. I had to send them home."
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, I always dug that too. I always thought that was really comical. She's just like, yeah, just send them all home. There's one person on the cabin now.
Molly, played by Renee Estevez, is the sister of Charlie Sheen and Emilio.
Which is funny because we just talked about Intruder, and she was in Intruder as well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, when we were talking about Chopping Mall, I remembered what I was talking about. I thought it was Renee Estevez in that film, but it wasn't. It was the girl from Night of the Comet.
Yeah, Kelly Maroney.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Another good little scream queen, along with Barbara Crampton, who was also in Chopping Mall. Yeah. Two good scream queens right there, man.
I will say that another awkward thing about this movie is, you said Barbara Crampton reminded me. Isn't that bad? They had nudity in this movie.
Oh yeah,
they did. Yes.
You have to remember that these girls are technically like underage. And I was even telling Corey that, like, this is weird. Like, I want to like it, but I shouldn't.
Yeah,
because the actress playing them, they're well in their 20s, but it's the fact that their character is supposed to be 15, 16 camp.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like, oh.
But I mean, that's what a slasher film is. It's especially in the 80s, they were TNA films.
Definitely,
so
dude. Yeah, that's part of the formula. You have to have a little bit of TNA.
You had
in
to
order
have
to sell it, to market it to because I mean they were marketing it hard for male audiences. I mean, just because that was the market back then. So they would have to throw that stuff in there to kind of get butts in the seats. It had to have good kills and it had to have a lot of TNA. Like those two things slasher films have to have. So I mean, not all. I mean, the classics don't have all that either, but that seems to be what the studios gravitated toward. Like, hey, we got to have this, we got to have that, mix that up to create the perfect formula for a successful, slasher film. So,
the one trope they did not have in Scream, which was funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no like true nudity in Scream, not that I remember.
Is that's with any of them, isn't it?
I mean, you get to see Rose McGowan's nipples through her shirt. That's about it.
Yeah, and I mean, they were raw.
Yeah, and they were pointy. Like it must have been cold.
I think they sprayed her with a fire extinguisher.
They probably did, man. Like she looked like she can cut diamonds with those things. It was crazy. I was like, wow, that's really like they're not shying away from that at all.
Yeah. But yeah, fun movie.
Yeah, it's a fun man.
Interesting death scenes, I will say.
Yeah, like I said, my favorite, of course, has got to be the outhouse kill. Like that's my favorite kill in the movie, no doubt, hands down.
Definitely.
Like the prettiest girl in the movie dies in the nastiest way.
And I love how Angela gets on that little tirade with her, like, what's down there? And she's like, shit. And she's like, you've been a shit camper and a shit friend. And then she's like, what else is down there? And she's like, piss. She's like, you pissed away your good looks and your, everything else. And now this is just what's going to happen. I mean, you're getting your pay due, and sure enough, boom, she's in the outhouse, and oh man, the sounds and everything in there. The gargling sounds is like, oh, that's what makes it so bad.
Yeah,
it's so gross.
That and the leeches. Yeah, the gargling definitely. Like you just know she's choking on shit water. It's like, oh
God. Yeah, that's definitely my favorite in the entire film is that outhouse kill. Just the way it's set up, just to where she's throwing those lines at her. I mean, it was just a well shot scene. I enjoyed that one, but like I said, the special effects left a lot to be desired. Man, there was a lot of like really. I especially think about that tongue, like when she cut out the first girl that gets killed, she cuts out her tongue, and it just looks so fake. They just put like a little bit of blood, and then just like a fake, like you get at a store, like a gag store or something, like buy a gag tongue or something and throw it on there. I mean, it looked plasticky, and it just really didn't look good, man. But other than that, though, man, it really is it's a good film. It's fun. The characters are pretty fun. I like TC, the counselor. He was pretty funny. I liked him.
Yeah.
When the girls are in there getting all the, they're getting back at the boys because they did a panty raid. So they're in there getting jock straps, and he's just waking up. He's like, "Oh, what's going on?" He's like, "Man, call me when it's over." And he just goes back in his bunk and goes back to bed. He was really like the polar opposite of Angela, where she was so, structured, and he was just like, "I'm just going with the flow, whatever, no big deal." I
He
mean, I like
dies from coffee.
Yeah, it's like my battery acid. Oh man.
Oh yeah. Battery acid is it?
Yeah.
She just
She threw
splashed
it
in his
back. She was like,
face.
"Yeah, your battery came in handy."
Would he
Because
really
did
have
mention-
died from that?
he-
I mean,
Yeah, he did mention that at the beginning. Like, he was going through a list of things that were taken, obviously by Angela, who was using them to kill. And he's like, just going down the list. He's like, "My car battery is missing."
I
good.
didn't even catch that.
Yeah, it was pretty funny, man. I liked his character. He had some good little quips, you know. And his mullet was just on point.
On
Like
point.
it was beautiful.
It was
It's beautiful.
definitely an 80s hairstyle.
Oh man, was it perfect?
It's almost like Patrick Swayze type.
Oh man. That thing was
Yeah,
it was a sight.
He was on Baywatch.
That actor? The actor was really?
Yeah. I'm
Really?
looking
I
up
did not know.
yeah, I'm looking up his stuff right now. He
I can
was
see
he was
it.
on he was on a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, very noticeable face. I've seen him on a bunch of stuff.
Doesn't really look like he was in too much horror. This was pretty much like his dive into horror. And that was it.
Touched by an angel. Private Wars.
Yeah, he seemed to do a lot of TV spots. A lot of TV spots.
I was looking, he was on like Chips and TJ Hooker and stuff like that. A lot of TV.
A lot of TV, man.
I don't know. I've definitely seen him around. Maybe it was on because it said that he was on CSI Miami, so maybe that's where I recognize the face. Definitely. I mean, he almost has an iconic face though.
I definitely know that mullet was iconic, man.
Born in Gettysburg.
Telling you.
True American. Oh yeah. When's this show coming out? Sunday?
Yeah, I'll have it out Sunday.
So happy 4th of July to everyone by the time you're listening to this.
Yes. Yeah, happy 4th.
Yes, sir.
Are there 4th of July horrors?
Oh, dude, Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Uncle Sam, dude. That would have been a fun one.
We
that
can
movie
still
is so.
do it.
Dude, that movie is so damn cheesy. Oh my god. Oh, it's so much fun though.
It's got such an iconic case too.
Yeah, it really does, man.
You got it's literally like a a zombie Uncle Sam or a skeleton Uncle Sam?
Yeah, he's like he's like zombified, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
and then,
cool
of course.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you're good. But I was just gonna say because when Blue Underground put it out, they had like the lenticular kind of case.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very cool case. I like it. I remember often I needed to have it just because of the case. I finally got it for the collection. So
Yeah, that suckered us
stuff.
into a lot of movies, man. Those cases, dude. I'm telling you.
Oh yeah.
That one's the best. But I'm sure there's a lot more 4th of July. There's probably not a lot more, but I'm sure there's a couple more 4th of July horror out there somewhere.
Yeah.
That's just the one I know of offhand.
Yeah.
Time to do some research. Patriot horror movies.
Patriot horror films. Oh.
Thanksgiving.
Well. Oh. Tony, do you have those?
Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
I do.
Okay.
Got a little box set, man. It's really cool. It's just like because Thanksgiving was, as you know, it was the first movie to skip its own sequel. So they went from 1 to 3.
So
I love how they advertise it as you'll see boobs within the first 30 seconds of this film.
Sure enough, you do. Got a naked pilgrim lady running around.
Amazing.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it in years, man, but it's a fun time.
Yeah, Kelsey, she just picked that up for me like this past year, so I was quite pleased with that.
Yeah, they're crazy. I mean, I don't think I've sat down and watched the third one, but I have seen the first one. I don't think I've sat down because I don't remember a thing about it.
I think we need to have a double feature for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Hopefully, then we'll be doing movie commentary.
We need to try and figure out how we're going to do that. Get that out there because that sounds like fun.
Absolutely.
Y'all ready to land this plane?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, folks. Well, that concludes the episode of the Midnight Monster Corner. Hope you enjoyed the reviews of Sleepaway Camp 1 and Sleepaway Camp 2. And next week we will be bringing you Sleepaway Camp 3 and the partial for number 4. As always, like, share, subscribe. Check us out on our Facebook group where we'll be posting several things. It is a closed group. If you ask to join, we will let you in. And just join the discussion. Let's get discussions going. What's your thoughts on these films? Have you ever seen them before? If you watched them because of this review, what did you think about them? Just get us out there and just like, share, and subscribe. And with that, Frosty, you got anything to add to it?
Yeah. If you are fans of video games, I do have another podcast called the Loot Bros Podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, pretty much anywhere you can listen to podcast. Fun little fact: Daryl was actually messaging me today and looking at some of our analytics, and we're starting to kind of chart a little bit. So our name's getting out there more. More people are downloading and listening, and we greatly appreciate everyone's support. We hope that you continue to support that, and we hope that you continue to support what we do here at Midnight Monster Podcast, Midnight Monster Corner. You guys rock. But yeah, check us out. I mean, if you're a fan of video games, we do. We like to have a good time on that show, make crack jokes and talk about games and stuff. And my buddy Daryl, who hosted with me, is a big horror movie and horror game fan. So any horror game fans out there want to join the show, talk some Resident Evil or something, definitely stop on by. It'd be a lot of fun. So,
all right, Tony, you got anything?
Oh no, man. I don't have anything. Like I said, I don't do any social medias or anything like that. But I definitely am delving into the group, and I'm having fun along with the journey, dude. It's awesome. It's really, really cool getting out there and talking film and having conversations about film, man. It's really fun. So thanks, gentlemen, for taking me along this ride, man. It's a fun one.
Definitely.
Yeah, having a killer time.
All right, with that, later, guys.
peace.
Later.
Later.